Now we're all here. Welcome to the program yet again. Okay, you caught me the other time. I'd actually... Good morning, and bad apologies. So good morning, Bukola.
Good morning, Jeffrey. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning, Jeffrey.
Well, it's good to be back amid a chaotic morning.
It's unpredictable, this road. So it caught me, just like I was explaining in the car. I just told myself, I sent a message, I said, guys, this is going to be difficult. By the time you guys were getting to me, I've already left, I've already entered the OPIC, so I was looking exactly what was going on. You know, this thing is like something like jazz. Don't worry about the meaning if you're not Nigerian.
Not jazz for music, but jazz more like...
Eventually it happened, but these are the things we have to deal with in Lagos. But thanks for holding the fort.
Yes.
Yeah. And sometimes maybe we have to be creative. Maybe if I had a drone, I would have been... Maybe do 30 minutes of the show right there and come, because what is morning show, breakfast show, so
yes, indeed.
report traffic is part of the
just for a traffic advisory, Jeffrey, an articulated...
So his account is outbound Lagos. Your account is inbound.
Inbound Lagos. So there's an articulated vehicle that has tumbled over just before the first red roof, outbound Lagos. And so vehicles, commuters, all categories of them, are now seeking an alternative on the other route, inbound Lagos. And so vehicles coming and the others going are facing each other, and that is recipe for disaster waiting to happen. And it appears as if you know, security agents and traffic management authorities have woken up rather late to this, because there's very little presence of either the road safety trace from Ogun State or even LASMA on this end, unusually like them this time around. Very little presence of these security and traffic management agencies on the road. And even on the other side, that is outbound Lagos now, at OPIC very near us, there's also traffic on the Trunk B route, the route closer to the residential areas, where there's another very chaotic situation. Commuters facing each other, those going into Lagos and those coming into Ogun State, they're facing each other. And that petrol station, Fat Blames, is also very chaotic. And so this is a traffic advisory to all commuters who are set to be on their business this morning. Perhaps you want to delay your trip for another hour or two to see what it looks like eventually. And we hope that, you know, this would be a clarion call to all security agents to deploy very quickly to the scene just before the red roof. And it has, you know, led to a tailback all the way to Wawa bus stop end of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, and it's going to build, trust me, when things like this happen on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're keeping track of all of this. When we have more, we'll bring it to you. But let's bring in our guests. We're standing by to bring us what the dailies are saying. Ms. Adeyemi Fetayo is the CEO of Megastar Magazine. He joins us virtually from the beautiful city of Benin. Benin Republic. Oh. No, Berlin. Oh, there are so many B's today. I heard it's Berlin. Well, you live in the aircraft, literally, Ms. Adeyemi. So anyone I take, as long as it starts with a B, please accept my apologies. All right, let's get started with this Nigeria. This Nigeria, just like what we've just been experiencing, the floods, the rain, and the consequence of some of it in Lagos. Flood fears rise as NIMET flags 27 states. So some are listed: Lagos, Rivers, Delta, Bayelsa, Ogun, Kogi, top risk zones. This is more like every other year. What do you make of this story?
Yeah, they said that this is in time safe now. So I believe that the government, especially the states that have been mentioned, they also will have been notified. They know this thing, just like you said. It's as if it happened every other year. What are the measures they are putting in place so that their citizens they are safe during this period of rainy season or what have you? So I'm sure their Ministry of Information and with the federal government agencies should be talking about what they are doing, how the residents or their citizens can, you know, keep their community safe, you know, instead of so many information going out on newspaper and their local station as well, telling their people how to keep their environment safe. You know, those are the tips I believe that the campaign they should be saying or doing or engaging now. Of course, we know sometimes it might be politics or security, but also flood is something that should not be toyed with. If we are saying one of the responsibility of government is to keep life and property safe, because the aftermath can be disastrous.
Mr. Feta, well, I mean, you're so spot on there, because this is an annual thing, and it just comes and then we just make some noise about it. After that, it's back to business as usual. But let's take a look at the New Telegraph. It leads with something different. Insecurity. Nigeria shouldn't become Banana Republic. Northern Christian leaders warn. Nigeria shouldn't become Banana Republic. Northern Christian leaders warn. They say growing mob killings, grave danger to national peace, security. Sultan, Vatican unite against hate speech, fake news, moral decline. Fubara security key, foundation of any prosperous society, and all of that. I'm not sure what your assessment of this rider is, but for me, I'm keeping tabs with the fact that in Oyo State, the Oyo abductees, they have stayed there now for, I think, maybe 54 days or thereabouts now in captivity. Nothing. The army says they are ongoing operations, but those peoples are still in captivity.
For me, it has become the order of the day. Yes, in as much as they are working, they are putting their life at risk to make sure they secure the life of those children after spending 50 days. I believe they can still do better. If they are short of staff, they can, or personnel rather, they can recruit. If you are short of equipment, whether hardware or software, these are the things that I feel that the government should make a budget for, and let us know, or let Nigerians know what they are doing to keep Nigerians safe. And of course, the issue of security, it does not know whether you are from the north or from the south, or you belong to this party or you belong to that party. We need to play our role as a critical stakeholder. You know, before we were saying it's happening in the northern part, now it's rubbing us in the face in the west. So just like I said earlier on, the primary responsibility of any serious government is to secure the life and property of our citizens. So I'm not really seeing where they are saying that, we need more manpower or we need more personnel, we are recruiting. There was a year, was it 2 years ago, when Mr. President approved that they should recruit whether 20,000. I stand to be corrected, but we have not seen what have become after that. Maybe it was politicized, I don't know. So we are not seeing the numbers. How many personnel do we have securing over 250 million Nigeria? So these are the statistics I believe they should be doing, so that the citizens can have confidence in them and say that yes, we know our government, they are doing their effort, to keep us safe and sound. I must say this. I'm sure we all remember when one of our former ministers, I think, was it siblings and her children were kidnapped. In 3-4 days, they swung into action. I don't know what they did. If they can do that in the same state, I think there's nothing stopping them to secure those children that were kidnapped. I just believe that they can do better than what they are doing now.
Well, indeed, the presidential candidate of the NDC did write a very pointed note to the APC government yesterday, and in fact revealing that during his visit to the Oyo State governor, it did come through that there has been no communication between the Oyo State governor and Mr. President, and it is the same condition, and in fact perhaps worse, of the time of former President Goodluck Jonathan, where President Goodluck Jonathan took a whole 2 weeks before he put a call through to the governor of the state, where there had been the kidnap of the Chibok girls, and as a result that the president should resign, or at least stepped down from contesting the next presidential election because of the inability to solve the security situation. But the administration could also argue that its response to security has also been proactive, unlike what obtained, about a decade ago or so. But the debate on that clearly continues, with the National Assembly also promising accelerated passing of the state police bill to the 36 states assembly for consideration. And so we'll continue our scrutiny of that particular talking point. But let's head to another paper this morning where there's a subject matter that also compels our attention. Mr. Ifetayo, FG pushes for petrol price reduction. We see here NMDPRA, that's a regulatory agency. The Nigerian Tribune is our next paper this morning, the Nigerian Tribune. NMDPRA, FCCPC, Dangote Refinery, marketers, NATO, others meet. You'll find details on page 6, read, but we also did see that interaction between federal government officials and the independent marketers yesterday. I wonder if you caught that, and was the explanation provided by the marketers sufficient to justify the slow reduction of the petrol pump price to the Iran-US conflict levels, where what we bought for was somewhere between 750 and 850 naira per liter. They're saying that it depends on what they buy from Dangote Refinery and what they buy indeed from their other suppliers that will inform the pump price of petrol. Mr. Ifetayo.
Yes, because in my own little observation or research, or tend to understand why we have these resources, we refine it locally. But most of the time, we got to understand that they still source some of these products overseas, and the dollar forex issue has not really helped the matter. And of course, they'll be talking about landing costs. If you are what they are selling in Lagos might need to be different from what they are selling in Delta, and or even to Kano, vice versa. I think what government can also do to reduce that cushion effect, if our rail is working properly, if our rail system is working, all those heavy truck traveling for days that facing some security issue on the road, tipping some people on the road just to have easy of passage, all those ones could be reduced. And of course, there's the issue of mobile filling station, just like when we had the issue of crisis, when government said they are rolling out LNG buses, so that to reduce the cost of transportation. They can do that. Mobile filling station, roll out some trucks in different states in collaboration with the state government and those marketers that operate in that state. Whatever they can do that citizens can see that, government, they are actually in the interest of the masses, because some of these our leaders, they don't buy this thing. Even when I say they buy, they have access to fuel allowance, sitting allowance, furniture allowance, this allowance that the citizens, most of the citizens, they don't have access to. As you rightly said, most of our economy, 80 to 90% are informal sector. So what are they doing to make sure those people in that sector, they don't have much impact? It doesn't impact their business, it doesn't impact their daily life or activities and all of that. So their business, the marketers, they are in business. But what is government doing? Are you reducing their taxes? Are you reducing the freight costs? Are you reducing whatever demurrage at the port if their product is spending 2-3 days? So those are the things you should be telling us. Whoever must come to equity must come with a clean hand as well. So somebody who have invested his money, maybe a loan, the bank too, they have a role to play. What are they charging, when they take loans from the bank, double figure interest rate? What is government doing about that? So it all cut across, and until government address those issues, we will continue to see these face-off pushback here and there. But if they can do all that, if they can address all that, I think they can still bring down the price.
Mr. Fatai, let's stay with the Nigerian Tribune and talk about what has refused to go away. And it shouldn't go away because we're going to stay on it until the right thing is done. The man who is said to have been running as DG of a fictitious agency under the presidency, we don't know whether he's on the run, but he's not available. I heard the court case is 27th of July. And from all the commentaries we've heard, and everybody who is conscientious has clearly said that this is not possible for only one man to execute. So there are questions to be answered across board. The Chief of Staff, the Office of the Secretary General of the Federation, the Accountant General, the National Assembly, the Budget Office. There are so many people that have to answer questions as far as this very big national scandal is concerned. But something has happened that Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, has raised concern. He says Falana kicks just beneath those pictures. Falana kicks as police arrest father of alleged fake PFIPC DG. He has no link with royal lineage. Didn't stay in Oyo Palace. That's late Alafin Adeyemi family. Office of the Accountant General denies opening CBN accounts for agencies. So who do we believe? Mr. Mbayo Onanuga's statement says he opened an account, but money didn't pass through. This, the Office of the Accountant General says, well, he may have tried, it didn't complete. So I don't know, they should sort. These are the discrepancies that we see that makes people to have a lot of doubt about what's going on. FPIC controversy exposes Nigeria's dual governance system. Now, arresting the father of the man, if that is true, I think should be in violation of the ACJA Act, which I think Section 7 talks about a person shall not be arrested in place of a suspect. So what do you make of this story?
To me, I think the government or the security agency, they are not even doing what they are supposed to do. Just like you said, it touched down in different agencies, from the office of a chief of staff to the accountant general to the head of service, who deployed, who gave the order, how do they do all these things, and opening account to the CBN. I think all these people should be called to for questioning, but focusing on the man alone. I know he has his own role, until just like he will have his day July 27, as being said, but what are the other people who are involved? No man, I'm saying here, I stand to be corrected, no single man can pull off all these things. I know that the business has gone south. That was why all these things is happening. Sometimes I tend to say that one of the ways that God answered the prayer of Nigerians is that there will be some revelation how they do things in the government, how our leader, approve some fictitious money or budget. Somehow the thing will just come to the open. So going after the father for what? Unless if you said the money he had collected or have access to was transferred and all of that. But just like Mr. Falana has said that no man should be arrested in place of the suspect. Are you saying that you can't locate one man? At least he had a press conference. But what are the other actors? What are the other people? I think by now it's just only in Nigeria that some of our leaders, when you are accused, for something huge, that you still sit tight, to power. I heard in the parliament, was it about 4 or 5 years ago, just because a parliamentarian came to the parliament late, he has to step down. That because that was his responsibility. You are supposed to be there, But here we sit tight because you have somebody who will defend you. I think the body language of the Mr. President is saying otherwise. If you really want to fight it thoroughly, people who are involved, I think they should be named. This person from this agency, this person from Office of Chief of Staff, this person that approved it. But we are not seeing that. It shows that maybe we are having a double standard as we believe to. And these are the critical things that will form a conversation leading to 2027, especially fighting corruption, regardless of the party you belong to.
All right, Mr. Peter, let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper this morning. It leads with something different. It says, despite glut, local cement price nearly doubles Africa's average. Despite glut, local cement price nearly doubles Africa's average. And if you look at some of the amazing work the Guardian likes to do there's some other writers there, but they're indeed really very faint. I'm not sure I can even read it from my end here, but I wonder what's your assessment of this rider this morning? Because, I mean, I remember there was a time in this country where, personally, I had to help my father build one of his houses, and a bag of cement sold at 2,500 naira. Right now, it's somewhere in the region of, I think, 11,000 naira. I'm not sure now. But that's what it is.
You know, we will have this conversation about 2 days ago, where a real estate firm who had say you are buying this unit for ABC amount of money, and with their projection that as at that time the cement was selling for 3,000, I think 3,006, and that same project still remain uncompleted, and the cost of cement now is over 11,000. Even sometimes it sells close to 12,000 thereabout. So it's just we find ourselves in a situation that if it doesn't affect government directly, they tends to to play down, or they tends not to take a stand firm or make a kind of intervention to make sure that and that is why it's been very difficult when it comes to the issue when the state government will say, oh, we want you to collect a house rent for 1 year or thereabout, or I'm looking at the time that the government will come indeed and roll out a program, especially for those who in that sector who are bearing the cost, and of course it will snowball to those, whether you want to live in that house as a tenant or is your own house, and how much are you earning, to build a house. But it's just a difficult situation we find ourselves. As if government they don't have a clue on how to arrest the situation. It's only the manufacturer that determines what they need to sell. Bag of cement. You just wake up today, they said it's so amount of money. Tomorrow it's so amount of money. In fact, there's no way you can budget in this Nigeria to say that. Come again, yes, I didn't get that.
According to this report, the Guardian says it's actually 15,000 naira per bag as it stands right now.
Oh, can you imagine that? So that's what we are talking about. I heard the other day a state government who arrested a contractor, and they are trying to say, well, when we started, these are the prices, and now these are the prices, and there's to the extent that you can project. Our government, they are not doing so much in that regard, especially real estate, when we have, I don't know, as at the last time, over 20 million housing deficit. These are the huge sector that the government can come into and make it easier. The mortgage, I don't know how it works. Maybe it's now designed for the rich or the famous or those who are connected. There's no local housing estate that even somebody who earn, let's say, 70,000 naira salary, that in the next 20 years you can pay off this your mortgage if you are dropping 13,000 naira from your basic salary as approved by the government. But these are the situations we find ourselves. It is the citizen that we provide his own subsidy, provide his own light, provide his own electricity, provide his own water, almost everything. And these are now, I told someone, I said, and some of these our government, some of them have houses abroad, they enjoy some of these benefits. What are they doing? You can learn and improve your own situation, because a tree does not make a forest. It's just a situation we find ourselves that whatever they push at us, we tend to have that resilient spirit to absorb it. But the government should do better, and this is an opportunity in this sector that government can come in and say, hey, we are doing this, we are subsidizing if you are doing low costing housing estate or whatever it is.
Mr. Ifeta, you just may be spot on there, because the Guardian also draws attention to some of the paradoxes in the real estate business with this expose on its front page. You know, when it says the irony of plenty, if you looked at the left-hand corner, depending on where you're looking at your screen from, the left-hand corner, when it says the irony of plenty, 65 million tons produced, and right there at the extreme end, there's also, you know, an illustration here about industrial success versus national need. Major producers, according to The Guardian here, are seeing a 142% profit increase, while infrastructure projects face constant stalls. And despite the prosperity that's been recorded by real estate developers, that housing deficit that you've pointed out suffices. So it means that there are some potential house owners, dreamers now, not necessarily owners, who dream of owning a home that cannot access that particular basic necessity. But let's stay on the front page of the Guardian newspaper and look at the top left, right-hand corner at the bottom. There are two stories that I'd like you to tie together in your analysis, and they border on security. On the one hand, Vatican envoy Sultan of Sokoto meet at National Mosque, warn against extremism. And then there's this one from Niger and Plateau State. 10 killed, 1 injured in fresh attacks on Plateau, Niger communities. So it appears as if we're still going to be talking about the security challenge for a very long time. But what kind of conversations do you think should be happening between the religious representatives? And on the other hand, Plateau State is always in the news as far as insecurity is concerned. How worried are you about that particular situation?
Yes, let me start with the Plateau State. It's just worrisome. I think almost maybe about 20 years ago, when they would describe it as very calm, very cool before we find ourselves in this situation. And this thing kept on, happening and all of that. But especially the federal government, because it's just bit my imagination that we are still discussing the issue of state police. They want to pass the bill. We've been talking about these things. Just like I said, it's as if it doesn't affect them directly. It tends to, I stand to be corrected, slow down in, scaling the process and getting the job done. But they can still do more. If, just like I said, if they need more personnel, the state government, with their security vote, they can, roll out. Nobody, no governor. I stand to be corrected. I've said that, out of my 200 million or 300 million or whatever million of security votes that I have because of this situation, we've been able to deploy 10 armored vehicles, we've been able to deploy or organize between vigilante and the police, their collaboration. We've been able to put in patrol vehicle, to make sure our citizens are safe. And of course, when it comes to the religion leader, I don't want to point finger. I think they need to come out more and talk to their followers, because some of these, whether they know it or not, directly or indirectly, whatever they say, shape the way their follower perceive them, shape the way their follower think or engage with the other religion. They still need to come out. They still need to come together. In fact, they still need to address some of the situation that we are all one Nigeria. Divided we fall, and together we can do some amazing things, regardless of your belief. So those are the things. For me, they still need to come out together more and address that. Whatever affects one affects all.
Let's do with the Guardian newspaper. And the one that's the ADC, you can see the picture of the national chairman of the ADC as former Senate President, Senator David Mark. ADC accuses federal government of pushing 17 million Nigerians into acute hunger. I know that the NDU, that's the Nigerian Development Update that was released by the World Bank, had said that the poverty rate in Nigeria is about 63%. So you can do the math in terms of the exact value in comparison to whatever you believe to be the number of Nigerians, whether it's 220 million or 230 million or 200 million. But they also have the ultra poor, which means no matter what you do, they will remain poor. But there's also the multidimensional poverty, which is a non-income poverty, which speaks to the issue of access. But there's something I want you to do in your commentary, if you can, how Nigerians can manage the two narratives. So it is also true that on the macroeconomic end, compared to the twilight of the Muhammadu Buhari administration, God rest his soul, what the Bola Tinubu administration has done is way better in terms of macroeconomic data. So besides huge debt burden and high inflation, so you can talk about reserves, talk about stability, you can talk about capital importation. We can look at, all the fancy billboard, which factually are correct. But you can also flip it. Cost of living, purchasing power, GDP per capita, also very correct. So if you look at what the opposition is saying, the opposition is correct. But if you look at what the government is saying in terms of what they celebrate, they are also correct. So it's a dilemma, but the ADC is saying 17 million is unacceptable. What do you make?
Even if it is 10 million, even if it is 5 million, it is unacceptable, just like I know some of us that have the privilege, you look at what they do abroad in the Western world, they have a kind of a welfare package. I have a friend who said that if you are out of job, let me even mention in Austria, that if you have worked for 1 year and you are out of job, whether of no fault of yours, maybe the company decided to lay down or whatever, that in the next 6 months, the government will be paying half of your salary, pending the time you get another job. And of course, also in France, I have a friend that who live on government budget that said that if you are not doing anything, there's a kind of it's a token that they give to you, but they will ask you go and do some kind of study just to keep you busy, and I'm sure we are talking about or one of the, or if not the biggest economy in Africa, but it have a lot to tell on your citizen. Are they living up to that? Just like you said, yes, federal government, they are making some impactful, when it comes to their microeconomy, when it comes to the issue, foreign direct investment, etc., etc. What has this but what has it translated to? You need to be judged by the standard of living of your citizen. So in as much these are correct, but I think they can focus more on reducing the poverty level in Nigeria. I remember, was it during the administration of late Muhammadu Buhari, who they said that they make they budgeted some billions for the poor in our midst, those that 10,000 means a lot to them, 20,000 means a lot to them, or 50,000 means a lot to them, or can transform their informal sector, those who sell pure water, those who sell akara, or those who sell what have you. But those are the things I feel that the government can actually do. And of course, they can roll out a meal a day, just like they did it in some local school. If you're a Nigerian or anywhere you find yourself around the world, around the nation, and you can afford three meal a day, or even if it's just 2, morning and evening, go to this place. And this also has to do with data. Nigeria is still suffering because our government does not have accurate data. They don't know who are those who live in a particular region, in a particular local government at the time, so that they can cater for them. But it's part of the thing that we, define the conversation leading to 2027 general election. How fair has your government done so far?
All right. Do we have time to take just one more before we wrap up the newspaper review? Let's look at perhaps we'll return to the front page of the Nigerian Tribune to look at just one more story before we exit. And I believe this is also captured in other papers. Politics is still very much in the air, Mr. Adeyemi. If you look at the top corner, you see appeal court to hear suit against deregistration of ADC, Accord, 3 others today. And we could also tail back to the litigation issues that have been impacting on the future of the ADC ahead of the elections. In the latest court ruling, a court party is also named in the mix. What are your expectations as the court plans to hear the suit today? Mr. Ifetai, did you get me? Well, we'll try to get through to Mr. Ifetai Adeyemi to give us his concluding thoughts on this. But there are a lot of expectations, as there have been, some wins and then some losses as far as litigations are concerned.
I miss you for a couple of seconds.
Yes, I was recapping events leading to the latest court plans by the court to rule today on suits against the deregistration of the ADC and their court party. And I was asking what your expectations are from this latest round of court ruling.
Well, in as much as democracy will thrive, if we allow opposition to thrive, and of course, what it helps is that it helps the government. It put the governments on their toe to do what they're supposed to do. But we just appeal to the judiciary because lately, as we know that they said the hope of common man lies in the judiciary. They should do the right thing. They should dispense justice, and so that Nigeria can have confidence in them. Of course, registering a party, do they meet the criteria? If they do not work, and they do, these are the things we feel that they should do. It shouldn't be that he who pays the piper dictate the tune. The way they are making some of their judgments sound, sometimes when maybe the upper court or the lower court will contradict this, and the way another thing I want to see is the abuse of court process, which some of our politicians tends to be accustomed with. They will file one case in Ogun State, go to Lagos State, go to Abuja, whether it's a delayed practice or not. But I believe our Lord Justice should dispense justice to Nigeria, not just to the political party or whoever the agency that are involved. So that is it for me. Dispense justice that Nigerians can still repose their confidence in the judiciary and say, yes, our judiciary is the last hope of the common man.
Thank you so much for coming on the program. He's the CEO of Megastar Magazine. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. It's my pleasure.
All right, when we come back after this break, we'll be talking with the first PRO as well as what is playing out in Osun State. The August the 20th election is coming up, and all eyes will be on that off-cycle election. It's going to be the big one before the biggest one, which is the general election. We're also going to talk about what is playing out in Lagos as far as flooding is concerned and the potpourri of other issues around politics. Stay with us. We'll be right back.